Yes, awesome. Let's rock and roll.
Abracadabra.
All right, I'm excited. We got my good friend Vinnie Vineyard here today on the Abracadamn podcast. How you doing, Vinnie?
I'm doing good, baby.
Man, dude, I'm glad to finally get you on here. I know we've been talking about it for a little while. We finally got you on. But I'll tell you what, if you don't mind, do you care to go ahead and introduce yourself to the listeners?
Toot, toot, baby. It's time to ride the funk train. This is Funk Master V here, baby. I'm going to put a glide in your slide, a dip in your hip. We're going to take it back to the mothership. That's what we're going to do.
Dude, you went like straight into your inner DJ. You know, it was
my alter ego, Funk Master V. We'll let him take over from time to time. He's a little bit more interesting, but he's a little bit more of an a-hole. So we'll keep him on check over here.
Well, let's see. Who is Funk Master? Who is this guy? Let's hear about it. Who is Funk Master V?
He's about 90% of who I am. He's kind of, I have a history in pro wrestling. So they say the best wrestling characters are the ones that are yourself, just kind of amped up to 110%. I'm kind of more of I'd say Funk Master is a little bit, he purports that he's a little bit more luckier than the ladies than the actual Vinnie Vineyard is, but he's probably his own worst enemy too. He kind of gets himself, he's a comedic foil to himself. He gets himself involved in some, but Funk Master is pro wrestling character. He also, when I was playing music, we had a unique shtick. I was the bad guy in the band. Like the band would play Gin and Juice or some sort of song about women's bodies, and I would say at the end of the song, I'd be like, that song was real cool, but I think it objectified women, and the whole crowd would be like, shut up, or whatever. I'd be like, I think that song glorifies drugs, and it was just kind of a way to make the lead singer look cooler. And and I took that into wrestling after that. So,
well, okay. Well, let's do this. Now, Vinnie, because you got that hint of an accent. Where are you originally from?
I was born in Baltimore. I don't have a Baltimore accent because people in Baltimore screw up the O's. Oh, how are you? I have no idea where my accent is from. I got into radio real young, like 4. I was on the radio at 4. No, I'm kidding. I was, I don't know, 19, 20 or something. And then my first boss was this crazy World War II veteran. He slapped me occasionally. He was just this was a different time. Yeah. You do that today, you'd own the network. But he was a real nut. But he believed he grew up WABC out of New York, and he trained my voice. He wanted me to train my voice with the piano, and when I did, over time, my voice got this weird New Orleans, Boston, Knoxville, kind of weird amalgamation of accents. So when people are like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "I told you it wouldn't make sense." But yeah, it's different. I speak a lot different than the people I went to high school with. I'll tell you that much.
Well, I'll tell you. So you went? Did you go to school around here, or was it up in Baltimore?
I went to school here in Knoxville.
When I say here, I mean Knoxville. Yes, Knoxville.
Yeah, I was a Knoxvillian for a long time before I moved to Pigeon Forge. But yeah.
Okay, good deal. Well, okay. Well, the interesting thing about you, Vinnie, is I met you as a filmmaker, but also though you have a background in several different things, including stand-up comedy and wrestling. So I definitely want to talk about those, but let's talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, stand-up comedy.
Okay.
So, what got you into stand-up? And now you're not currently performing, are you?
No.
Okay, so let's hear that story. Let's hear it.
I could do, like, if you told me, you need me to do 20 minutes, I could drive up there and do 20 minutes. I don't know how good it would be, but on the car ride, I'd go, okay, I'm going to do this. But stand up to me, I I loved David Letterman, and I loved New York. I always loved watching that, sneaking and watching that show at night. And when I was in North Carolina, I'd stay up late at my sister's and watch Letterman. I'd stay up late at night, and I loved how the city looked, and there was something romantic about it. And I love the deadpan. What's funny to me, what has always been funny to me, and this goes into my bad guy pro wrestler thing, is I always liked comedians that were struggling. I just thought that the comedian who is dying on stage was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. I mean, there's something about a guy who's wanting to make everybody happy and he's failing. And just the nervousness, and you can just read it on his face. And so I don't know, my act and stuff when I was doing it, I people all the time recite that they like Lenny Bruce or Richard Pryor or Dave Chappelle or however old they are. And I liked Henny Youngman. I liked Don Rickles. I liked, David Letterman. I liked a lot of guys that were hack, joke comedians.
Yeah.
And I liked bad jokes. And so it was an interesting time. I was good at it. The problem with me is that I was in Tennessee in the 90s, and doing stand-up comedy was like, I would go to a restaurant, I would go to a church, I would be at the opening of a car lot. I mean, there wasn't a lot of great, I would be on the dock at a marina. So there was not a lot of great, there's terrible nightmare gigs that you just had to,
those still happen too, Vinny. So,
but at least now down south you have nightclubs and comedy clubs, at least to some degree. And I think Southerners are very tough to perform in front of. They're just more difficult. You have to win them over. If you go somewhere on the East Coast, it's a little different. People are there to laugh. You got to still perform, but I think there's people are sitting there at first with their arms crossed, like, make me laugh. Why are you so special? I think there's something like that.
What it is there's I think people up north are a little more open with their personalities and versus in the South, people are a little more reserved. And when they go to these public places, they're, you're a spectacle to them, but still when you do get them to open up, it is good times. But no, I totally agree with you. There is a difference there. And, I just saw a meme that kind of nailed this dead on. It had the country broken up in 4 separate sections, and it had the Southeast as act nice but really mean. The North, act mean but really mean. And I think the Northwest was like act mean but really nice, and then the Southwest was like act nice but really nice, which I don't know that about Southwest. I don't know, but I can speak for the North and the South. And that's the one thing about Northerners is they're honest. I
love it.
It's up front. And Southerners, we're full of shit. No, when I say we're full of shit is like, we can't stand you, but you won't know it. We'll have a big ass smile on our face.
It's difficult to navigate. It's difficult to navigate. That's why I do like how Northerners carry themselves that way. You know where you stand. If they hate your guts, you may sit there. And there's a lot of people down here that I think in my own mind that like me, and I know that they don't.
Oh
So
yeah.
You have to at that point kind of become this machismo alpha male where you just have to like somebody because you like them, and it doesn't matter what they think. And it's like a different level of spirituality where you're like, I don't care what you think of me, I like you, and I know that you probably don't. I know I can tell, I can read your face a little bit every time I say something. You're like, this son of a bitch. Oh yeah,
yeah.
But I don't know that there is a little bit more walking around landmines down here.
There is, and you know, you get to those people that you clearly know don't like you. To me, this is how you know I don't like you. I don't talk to you. I don't interact with you. If I see you, I ain't saying shit to you. You know, and this is the thing. I like everybody for the most part. So if I don't like you, you're a miserable, horrible person. So
Or I bet, or I bet they're a lot like you. Is that something?
maybe I don't know. Like there, you know, there. I will say, let me go on a stretch here. There's probably 3 people I really do not like that I know. Now, I'm not talking about some celebrity or public, even a politician. Technically, I do not know them. So
True.
I don't want to put a true judgment on somebody that I clearly don't know, not unless you're Hitler or Stalin or, you know, some
Right.
static crap like that. But these people are people I've had personal encounters with. I've got to see their personality with, and they are pieces of shit. So I hope that I hope they're not like me. I don't know. I mean, I'm a little bit of a selfish though, and any entertainer is a little bit of narcissist. They have,
Yep.
you know, and so you know, I know my bad qualities, but at the same time, though, Vinny, I got Antoinette, my wife, who keeps my ass in check and down to earth. So I think that's important. That we need somebody to keep us grounded.
It's great when you're an entertainer to have a wife, if you're a man or gay woman or whatever, to have somebody there that is the, you know, she's the counterweight to whatever you need.
Absolutely.
Because being an entertainer is tough in a lot of ways, especially financially. Normally, that means a lot of times that your wife or husband or whatever has to be the breadwinner in a lot of your down seasons, and kind of has to have that consistency, and also somebody not competing with you. Like if if you're 2 entertainers together, somebody starts getting hot, and the other person's like, "Oh my God, I can't escape it from my own home," you know.
I've seen those couples too, man, and they're out there. And me personally, I could never be with another entertainer. I couldn't be.
Yeah.
It's just too much. I'm too much in my own head and all my BS that it would never work. And I see those couples out there, and I've wondered that. I mean, like, I wonder if one gets jealous if the other one gets, you know, booked or gigs or opportunities that the other ones don't, because that's how all entertainers are to a certain extent. Like, we have friends, we have acquaintances, but when we see them land something good, we're happy as hell for them, and then we're kind of like, I'm jealous as hell too, you know. So it's and all of them will admit that too.
You have to, like, it's good to have somebody funny. Like my wife is very funny.
So was mine.
And so I get material from her, and at least it's like almost a 2-for-1 at that point. Like if we're both trying to do 2 enterprises, we're cutting the material in half. Now I get a little bit like, she'll at least, even if her idea sucks, it's one of those bad ideas lead to good ideas. You know, it's metal sharpens metal. And I'll sit there and think, even today, talking about the filmmaking stuff, she says, one of your films has to be really feminine. And I said, because I'm worried. It's funny when you're making film, there's a lot of things you worry about. This film that you were on, WJHC, is too much me. I'm too old, I'm too ugly, and there's a lot of me in it. The first movie we did, my girlfriend in the movie was Candy. Candy's hot. She's a strong character. She looks good in those Laura Croft booty shorts. Her boobs move around. She has cool hair. She's also kind of a strong, this thing just get released on Prime, and I've had people I don't know message me and go, "Thank you for having," and I'm not kidding, thank you for having a strong female character.
Absolutely.
So my daughter can look up to it, and I'm like, that's really cool, and that's intentional. However, it's still a boy movie because I'm talking like I am now, slack jaw jive talk halfway, and I'm talking crazy all through the movie. And so it's still this kind of a guy's movie. And she said, you need something that's really feminine. And I'm like, I think you're right. I'm worried about, it's one of the worries that I have about this second movie is there's not enough eye candy for guys because it's my ugly wrinkled ass, bloated ass. And then there's also we're not, one of the things you can do when you're shooting outside is you take God's paintbrush and you can claim it as your own. When you're outside in God's green earth, the cinematography, we've had so many people go, God, the cinematography is great. You just hold a camera up. God or whoever, the spirit or whatever, Mother Nature did it. You're taking his great. We shot this movie, in an ugly, ugly ass television station that we're purporting as a radio station. The thing is horrible looking. It looks terrible. And so I'm sitting there looking at the dailies going, God, this looks awful. How can we fix this? And there was nothing we could do. We had every light in the world trying to make it look softer and sexier. And it's a ugly, and that's what the movie is based on, this old radio station. It looked just like it, but it still is ugly to look at. So we got to come up with creative ways to make the movie not so ugly.
Well, okay, so you started off kind of in stand-up comedy and and with radio, correct? And
that's right.
And now but you've also got professional wrestling on the title too. Now, granted, I grew up watching wrestling. I think in the 80s and the 90s were the best times ever for watching professional wrestling. So I am a professional wrestling fan. I love watching it. I've even got a Hell Gig story talking about what I had to do a show in the middle of a wrestling ring.
I've got one of those too.
Yeah, that wasn't fun. But I love wrestling. Now, what got you into wrestling? And let us hear a little bit about that.
Well, I did music for about 12 years and got sick of music. I've got one of those personalities where I get sick of stuff. I'm the only musician you'll ever hear of that was actually a pretty good musician. I'm a really good bass player. I'm not a great singer. I'm a good front man. I'm not a good songwriter, but I'm a fucking great performer, and I'm a good bass player. I got sick of it. I hardly ever touch my instruments anymore. Heyo. Anyway, I'm sorry. I've got this whole routine going in my head. I should be, since I'm on a show, I should be saying it out loud, but I'm just keeping it for myself. I'm going to keep that for me. But anyway, I don't touch my bass guitars enough. I'm one of the only people you'll ever meet that's like a musician that was actually supporting his family by playing music. That got sick of music, and it's just what happens. And so we did this professional wrestling kind of thing in the band anyway, where I was a bad guy, and then I was in martial arts. I won the state championship in judo, and I was like, I think I could do this. I was always scared of it, but I kind of gained weight through the years, and I got bigger. And I wasn't 140 pounds anymore. I was about 240, and some of that was muscle. And I said, I think I could do this. And got into wrestling that way because I thought I would be good at it. And there was a group of people that were trying to start a promotion. I got really lucky. I said, hey, I got a PA because I was a musician. I know how to market. I know how to do web pages. I know how to do videos. I know there was a lot of different little things I could, because of my experience of being a professional musician. I said, I can help you guys get this thing off the ground if you train me. And they're like, okay. And I had really good ideas at the time in independent wrestling. And you can understand why people try to put themselves over too much. Like they're Stone Cold Steve Austin. Everybody wants to be Stone Cold. Everybody wants to be the badass good guy that doesn't, the anti-hero. So everybody kind of so I was this guy, I was like, I don't care to play comedic foil. I don't care to play the bad guy. I don't care to be the guy that begs for mercy. I don't care to be the guy that taps out to his own finishing move. And so I was different. I could talk on the mic because of my, comedy and being in front of, 1,200 shows and with music. I don't get nervous. That's another one of my little weird things about me is I've never been nervous performing. I feel more alive there than nervous, which is most people get nerves and I don't. That's when I feel good, is when I'm in front of people. And so and wrestling made sense eventually. And I got good at it because you have to learn that craft. It is very difficult to look like you're fighting somebody and convincing a bunch of people to suspend disbelief that you're actually angry or actually trying to inflict violence on somebody when you're actually working with that person. But it gets easier, and then it becomes, not to expose the business, but it becomes a series of patterns.
You know, the thing that, you know, first of all, I always say, you know, that there is a lot in common with professional wrestlers and, you know, professional comics. You know, the lifestyle, you know, the traveling, yeah, very similar. You know, I always tell people also, you know, wrestling is also a lot like, you know, magic. You know, like,
Yes.
People, even though they know what you're doing is not real, they still want to believe what you're doing is real, so they can get there. And also, we both get hit with steel chairs from time to time. So at least I do.
And it's dangerous.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, there was another magician on the set with you whose hand was crushed. He was David Copperfield's longtime assistant, and
Really?
his hand got jacked up in, I can't remember. It's a gimmick that he does. It's like a saw blade that comes down. It's one of David Copperfield's most famous. It was coming down wrong.
Like a buzzsaw illusion.
Yes. And the guy pushed the guy out of the way because the illusion was screwing up, and he got his hand caught in the winch, and it kept going deeper and deeper, and he almost lost his hand. Wow. And he still only got like 60%. So wrestling is dangerous too. And
oh yeah,
I've used the words that are magician words describing wrestling. As I used artifice and arcane, which I'm sure you guys, you know both what those words mean, but I've used that to describe the sport of pro wrestling, because artifice, there is sort of a con going on.
mm-hmm.
And with the arcane, I know a bunch of things about the sport that you don't. You know a bunch of stuff about the wrestling or about magic that I don't. I'm using you, royal you. You may know everything about it. I'm just saying people that buy tickets. So we are brothers of the arcane. We both know secrets that the audience doesn't, that they'll never figure out unless we just blather about it.
Yeah.
And that is what keeps the magic alive. And that's what I hate when I see people. I love Penn and Teller. I like hack magicians. I don't want to know how they do the stupid little coin tricks and stuff.
Well,
I know Penn and Teller are very good about how they do that. They incorporate exposing the business in part of their act, and they want people to become better magicians and stuff. But it's still like, hey, let's not even. I don't even like to think that it's fake, if that makes sense. I like to believe it's.
There's nothing at all wrong with that to me. And also, I think, you know, to me, I've never been somebody, I never get hung up on secrets per se, because I mean, there's so many different ways to do so many different things. It's almost impossible to know for people to think, oh, we know the secrets, magic boy. But and also a lot of my own methods and effects are kind of unique to me. I try to keep it that way as much as I possibly can. But also, though, I think, well, also, when you go see also a magic show, I think you have to program yourself the same way you would go see a horror movie or any type of film, that you almost leave this reality to be a part of what you're experiencing, you know?
Right.
So that's where that comes from. And if you're not doing that, then dude, that you're screwing yourself. You know, go do this. Let's do this. I want to keep this as honest and fascinating as I possibly can. We're going to try to, because this is through Zoom. It's a little difficult to do sleight of hand, especially whenever one of the hands isn't yours either. Okay? Everything's alive, Vinnie Vineyard. Some TV movie magic. But let's do this. Let's do this. We're going to do some mind reading, bro.
All right.
I'm going to try. I don't know how far deep I want to get inside your melon, but
it's dangerous.
It is dangerous. I can tell. It's like I wouldn't say it's not Dollywood happened up in that bitch. So
definitely not.
But what we're gonna do, we're gonna do some mind reading. I'm gonna try to do some mind reading here. And I do this with a lot of guests. I really do. So but we're gonna try with you. I thought, let's try. Let's just give it a shot. If you will, Vinny, Think of one of these cards. Just think of one. Don't tell me. Just think. You got it. You got it in your.
Yeah,
you got one.
I do.
All right. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to lose the cards in the deck here. Give it a shuffle.
You're never going to get this one.
Well, probably not. Probably not. I don't know. That's a tough call. That is a tough call. Oh man. I tell you what, I'm going to give it an old cut here. So I'm going to be obligated. Okay. I'm going to be obligated. What was the card you're thinking of? What is the card you're thinking of?
10 of diamonds.
The 10 of diamonds. Now, I like I said, it is tough. You made me a little nervous, but this is the crazy thing on the Abracadamn podcast. I'm always right, Vinny. Yes, you have been abracadamned, my man.
That's good.
No, you know what? I sold my soul, bro. That's how I do these things.
On the crossroads.
Satan was like, at the crossroads, Satan said, "Hey, Danny boy, do you want $1 million?" And I said, "No, I want to show Vinnie Vineyard card tricks through Zoom on a podcast." He said, "Deal." And then I said, "While you're at it, throw in some red hair and make me 5'6", will you?" So, I mean, there we go. To listen to the rest of this episode, be sure to like and subscribe to the Abracadamn podcast wherever it is you listen to your podcast. And also be sure to like and subscribe to the Abracadamn YouTube channel for more interesting content.
Abracadabra.